Okay, hello dear friends, good morning, good afternoon. Such a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. And here I am at Los Altos History Museum. And as if I have no eyes. And I think this is one of the best small museum I have seen. Let me do an outfit of the day to start with. So today is mostly green, green earring, a little bit of green flower, green. Okay, now let's take a look at this beautiful and fun museum. So it might be a little bit noisy, but I will try to be as good as possible. So this little diorama is the history of Los Altos. Los Altos started something like 1900, and South Pacific Railway started to build a divert road to reduce some workload. So they built a shortcut via Los Altos, and this is the starting of Los Altos, this place. And at the beginning there were trolleys, and later on they built some trains, and this was the power station, and later on it changed into a library. And in later years, when automobile started to boom up, the railroad was out of service, out of use. So this railroad was picked up, pulled off, and made into Foothill Expressway. And the Foothill Expressway is one of the roads that I drove by every day, and there were trees or flowers on the side, fenced, and very convenient for biking. And it is a beautiful road that we use every day. And imagine, it used to be a real road. And the town has passed through quite something. There were a family in the Japan and World War II. The family was relocated to a relocation camp in Wyoming. This is a picture of it. And some of the old buildings, actually you can still see. For example, this building is still visible there. And imagine, these big buildings are 100 years old and still kept. Now let's play it all on board. Are you ready for the noise? This is fun, huh? Where are the trains? This is so fun. Oh, I love it. This was like when I was young. I lived in Beijing, and it used to have a train track exactly like this. And we wait for the train to pass and have that crossing. Oh my, oh, this is so fun. So, this is a permanent exhibition of, this part is a permanent exhibition. Some diorama, some history of this place, the making of the town, and 1930s, and some of the local people here, and used to be orchard, and a lot of fruits. This Silicon Valley area used to be orchards, silicon harvest, until the later on the city and the town, 1950s, the Silicon Valley from the silicon disc. Yeah, wow. Where is that apricot? Yes, let me see. These are the notable peoples here. I found Noisy, Robert Noisy. So the Intel founder, and used to be a lot of this apricot and plum. I just ate plum before coming here because our plum tree just harvested. I cannot imagine so many people walking. Sunnyvale. Wow, Sunnyvale used to have so many people walking there. This is unimaginable. Let's play this one also. Noisy, okay. Oh, that is fun. Cutting it in half and then making two can. Oh, this is the Los Altos orchard, Japanese workers homestead. Isn't it interesting? The artifacts and dioramas, and this museum is very well kept, and they have this permanent exhibition on the second floor and rotating exhibition downstairs, and outside there is outside there is a garden and a museum store. Let's take a look here.
So this, of course, is our store and these are our docents and Geraldine there. You're supposed to be standing up and saying, "Come, Geraldine, show us how you do it."
Okay, now I am doing a little bit of voiceover so that you can make the story a complete one. And so these young people, they are actually volunteer docents and young docents. It is really very good. The museum are trying to not only bring in everyone, but particularly paying attention and making their effort in bringing in young people and bring young docents. So that was a training program. And there are other exhibitions. One is a food exhibition. Another is a gadget, the old time, how people use. So young people use cell phone. We have never seen, some younger generation people have never seen old hand roll old telephone, vacuum machine, sewing machine. Nowadays, who has used a sewing machine? I used, but a lot of people, life has been so convenient, we do not use them. So we went to the other exhibition, and a gentleman, 77 years old, a docent, a guide, explained me, and he used to be a Stanford student, studied mathematics. I said later on I will bring some mathematic problems to you because I'm a teacher. Anyway, so the next building is built in 1901, started construction in 1901 and finished in 1905. It is one of the first first building in Los Altos. And the owner, Mr. Gilbert, Gilbert Smith, Mr. Smith, later on decided in the 1960s, 70s, he decided that he decided to sell to the city, and on several conditions. First, he sold the house very, very, very low price, and on the condition that house could be used for his wife until his wife dies. So his wife died at 1967, and after that the house was totally belonging to the city, and city transferred it into a museum. That was the original house. And another thing is that he was orchard owner, so he had orchards, and also he made a condition that 1 acre of orchard will be donated, and that will be used for the city use. So that orchard became permanent. So the people of Los Altos, of the city, will forever have that orchard, no matter what development is going on. And the city made library, city hall around this orchard. Every time I go to the city library, I can see the orchard. I can see the apricot tree, and it's especially in springtime, the blossom of apricot tree, pink, white. It was such a dreamy area. Yeah, wow, the first house of Los Altos. 1905, 1901.
Yeah, built started in 1901 and finished in 1905.
Wow. They don't eat those much cakes.
Mostly redwood.
They didn't eat so many cakes. No.
So the house, since it was built before the earthquake, the earthquake was 1906, the San Francisco earthquake that destroyed San Francisco. It knocked down some buildings at Stanford, but it didn't do anything to this house, because this was all wood.
Wow.
And this was able to withstand the earthquake. So the earthquake didn't do any damage to this house.
So you always lived in Palo Alto? No,
I actually grew up in Los Angeles.
Oh.
And then moved up here in 1959.
Wow.
Yeah, went to Stanford University.
As a professor?
No, I went there as a student. Here's Gilbert.
Oh.
And this is Margaret.
Oh.
And here was their car. This was 1905. So this was right when they built the house. They bought and that's probably one of the first cars ever built.
Oh.
Because that's when cars started.
Yeah. Or Margaret playing piano. Wow.
Yeah.
He was a businessman, or?
Well, he had an apricot orchard.
Oh, okay.
So that's all. He just grew apricots and sold apricots. Yeah.
Baba, the elephant. Wow.
Ragged Ann and Andy dolls.
Yeah. Oh, this looks like San Francisco. Yes, the Palace of Fine
Palace
Art.
of Fine Arts. Yeah.
And it was restored or founded by Hearst Castle.
Yeah.
Phoebe.
Yep.
Phoebe Hearst. She's one of the biggest patron. She was.
Now from here you can see the apricot orchard when I open this. Oops. Oops.
I can see here. This one. Yes, yes.
There we go. So you can see the apricot orchard over there.
Yeah. Every time I go to library, see the orchard. It's so pleasant.
Yeah.
Very, very pleasant.
So here there are bathing suits.
So here is the exhibition of food Silicon Valley Eats. And when you think about Silicon Valley Eats, you must be thinking about expensive food, fancy food or something. But actually, the point is food for souls. Where does your food come from? And the consequence, what consequence do your eating habits have to our bodies, communities, and planet? And is that affordable? Is that accessible? Is that sustainable and healthy? So it's such a. This city has some spirit that is very interesting. Anyway, every day we see history, we understand today. History is the mirror for us to see what we are doing and what we are heading for. I love you, I really do. Do. Bye, friends.
Yeah. And it shows all the right what time is that in the